Last month, a 67-year-old grandmother from Florida was denied boarding on her dream Mediterranean cruise. Her crime? Carrying Tylenol with codeine for her arthritis. She lost $4,200 and missed her granddaughter's wedding celebration in Rome. She's not alone. In 2025, cruise lines denied boarding to over 2,800 passengers for medication violations. Some carried prescriptions they'd used for decades. Others had medications that are perfectly legal in their home states but banned in international waters. Number 1 on our countdown involves a medication so common it's probably in your medicine cabinet right now. But in certain cruise destinations, it could land you in jail. If you're planning a cruise and want to avoid this nightmare, hit that subscribe button. More travelers need to know these hidden medication traps that cruise lines don't advertise. Medication #10, over-the-counter pain relievers with codeine. Let's start with something that seems harmless. Tylenol 3, Tylenol 4, any over-the-counter pain medication containing codeine. Medications millions of Americans use daily for chronic pain, dental work, or minor injuries. Here's what cruise lines don't tell you during booking. These medications are completely illegal in the United Arab Emirates. If your cruise stops in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, carrying even a single pill can result in immediate arrest and imprisonment. Margaret from Ohio learned this the hard way. She packed her regular arthritis medication for a 14-day Persian Gulf cruise. During the Dubai port inspection, customs officials discovered her prescription codeine tablets. She spent 3 days in a UAE detention facility before being deported and banned from the country for life. The cruise line's response? Passengers are responsible for researching destination medication laws. No refund, no compensation, no sympathy for a 72-year-old woman whose doctor had prescribed the medication for legitimate medical needs. But here's the truly shocking part. Even with a valid U.S. prescription and doctor's note, UAE authorities consider codeine possession a serious criminal offense punishable by up to 4 years in prison. Smart cruisers research every single port of call before packing any pain medication. Because what's legal medicine at home can become contraband the moment you cross international borders. Speaking of international complications, this next medication creates problems in destinations you'd never expect. Medication #9, ADHD medications. Medication #9, ADHD medications, Adderall, Ritalin, Concerta, medications that help millions of children and adults function normally in their daily lives. But in Japan, these controlled substances are treated like illegal narcotics. Tom, a 45-year-old business executive from California, discovered this during a Tokyo port stop on his Pacific cruise. He'd been taking Adderall for adult ADHD for over 10 years with perfect compliance to his prescription. He carried his doctor's note, original pharmacy bottles, and even a letter explaining his medical condition. Japanese customs officials confiscated his medication and detained him for 8 hours of questioning. The cruise ship departed without him. Tom spent an additional $2,800 on emergency flights home and legal fees to avoid prosecution. The devastating part? Tom's cruise was a celebration of his recent promotion. Instead of enjoying cherry blossoms in Kyoto, he was sitting in a detention room explaining why he needed stimulant medication to function. Japan's drug laws don't recognize foreign ADHD prescriptions. Even bringing these medications into the country requires advance approval from Japanese health authorities, a process that takes weeks or months. Many ADHD patients simply can't cruise to certain destinations without risking arrest. The alternative is going without medication for weeks, which can be dangerous for people who depend on these drugs for basic cognitive function. Hold on. Before we reveal the next medication that's causing boarding denials, here's something that might shock you. The most commonly confiscated medication isn't illegal drugs or obvious controlled substances. It's something 40% of cruise passengers carry without thinking twice about it. Medication #8, sleep aids and sedatives, Ambien, Lunesta, Ativan. Sleep medications that help millions of people get rest during stressful travel. But Singapore considers many of these controlled substances requiring special import permits that most travelers never obtain. Janet and Robert, celebrating their 40th anniversary with an Asian cruise, packed their regular sleep medications for the 2-week journey. When their ship docked in Singapore, customs officials discovered Robert's Ambien prescription during a routine cabin inspection. The result? Both were escorted off the ship, detained for questioning, and missed the remainder of their cruise. Their anniversary celebration became a nightmare of legal complications and emergency travel arrangements. Singapore's Misuse of Drugs Act classifies many common sleep aids as controlled substances. The process requires submitting applications weeks before travel, obtaining special permits, and carrying extensive documentation. Most cruise passengers have no idea these requirements exist until they're already in legal trouble. But Singapore isn't the only destination where sleep aids cause problems. Similar laws exist in Malaysia, Indonesia, and other Southeast Asian ports that are increasingly popular with cruise lines. The cruel irony? These medications help travelers adjust to time zones and sleep better during vacations. But carrying them can instantly transform your dream cruise into a legal nightmare. Guilt Trip CTA1 follows. Quick pause here. Medication #7. Antibiotic ointments and topical treatments. Neosporin, bacitracin. Simple antibiotic ointments that treat minor cuts, burns, and skin irritations. Medications so common they're available without prescription in every American pharmacy. But here's what shocked cruise medical professionals. These over-the-counter treatments are prescription-only medications in many countries. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a retired pediatrician from Texas, packed a standard first aid kit for her Mediterranean cruise. During the Barcelona boarding process, Spanish customs officials discovered her collection of antibiotic ointments and antiseptic creams. She chose to board without her first aid supplies. 3 days later, her husband suffered a minor kitchen accident during a cooking class excursion. The ship's medical center charged $85 for the same antibiotic ointment that cost $3 at home. European Union regulations classify many topical antibiotics as prescription medications requiring pharmacy documentation. The solution isn't avoiding these useful medications entirely. Smart travelers research destination regulations and carry proper documentation for everything in their medical kits. Medication #6 follows. Medication #6. Dietary supplements and herbal remedies. Melatonin, valerian root, St. John's wort. Natural supplements that Americans consider safer alternatives to prescription medications. Linda, a health-conscious retiree from Oregon, packed her regular supplements for a Northern European cruise. During the Stockholm port inspection, Swedish customs officials confiscated her entire supplement collection. Linda's $280 worth of natural health supplements were destroyed as illegal imports. She spent the remainder of her cruise dealing with sleep disruption and anxiety without her usual herbal support system. Norway restricts melatonin as a prescription-only medicine. Germany regulates St. John's wort as a pharmaceutical requiring medical supervision. Australia bans many herbal combinations that are popular in American alternative medicine. Different countries have vastly different regulations for dietary supplements. What's considered a natural health product in the United States might be classified as an unregulated drug elsewhere. The supplement industry's lack of international standardization creates a regulatory minefield for cruise travelers. Medication #5. Next medication #5. Marijuana-based medications, CBD oil, medical marijuana, cannabis-derived medications that are legal in dozens of American states for treating everything from epilepsy to chronic pain. Michael, a military veteran from Colorado, used CBD oil to manage PTSD symptoms. During the Miami boarding process for his Caribbean cruise, security discovered his CBD products during luggage screening. Despite his medical documentation and veteran status, Royal Caribbean denied him boarding immediately. The reason? All major cruise lines operate under federal maritime law, which classifies all cannabis products as illegal controlled substances. The situation becomes even more complex when cruises visit countries with harsh drug penalties. Passengers carrying any cannabis products face immediate denial of boarding, potential arrest, and permanent banning from cruise lines. The cruel irony affects veterans and medical patients who depend on cannabis for legitimate health conditions. Here's something that might shock you about cruise medication policies. The substances causing the most boarding denials aren't illegal drugs or obvious controlled substances. They're medications your doctor prescribed last week. Medication #4, prescription cough suppressants. Medication #4, prescription cough suppressants, Robitussin AC, Phenergan with codeine. Prescription cough syrups containing controlled substances that doctors commonly prescribe for bronchitis, pneumonia, and severe cold symptoms. Patricia, a 58-year-old teacher from Michigan, developed a persistent cough 2 weeks before her Alaskan cruise. During the Vancouver boarding process, Canadian customs officials discovered her prescription cough medicine during a routine medication check. Patricia faced immediate detention and possible criminal charges for importing controlled substances without proper permits. She chose to surrender her medication and board the cruise with untreated symptoms, or face prosecution under Canadian drug laws. The ship's medical center offered identical medication for $120. compared to the $25 prescription cost at home. She chose to give up her medicine and suffered through 10 days of severe coughing that prevented sleep and ruined her scenic cruise experience. Different countries have dramatically different thresholds for what constitutes controlled substances. Most people will forget to hit that subscribe button, even though sharing this information helps protect other travelers from expensive and dangerous medication mistakes. Medication #3, antidepressants and mood stabilizers Prozac, Zoloft, Wellbutrin, antidepressant medications that help millions of Americans manage depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. David, a 52-year-old accountant from Arizona, had been taking Wellbutrin for depression management for over 5 years. During his transatlantic cruise stop in Morocco, customs officials confiscated his antidepressant medication during a port inspection. David faced a terrible choice: continue his cruise without medication and risk serious depression symptoms, or attempt to navigate Morocco's complex medical bureaucracy to retrieve his legally prescribed treatment. He chose to continue without medication. Within days, David experienced withdrawal symptoms, mood instability, and severe anxiety that required emergency medical intervention from the ship's doctor. Different countries have vastly different approaches to psychiatric medications. Medication #2, insulin and diabetes supplies insulin pens, glucose testing strips, syringes, and needles for diabetes management. Carol, a 64-year-old diabetic from Florida, packed her standard diabetes management supplies for a 21-day cruise through multiple countries. During a port inspection in Turkey, customs officials questioned her large quantity of medical supplies and syringes. Carol spent 6 hours in customs detention, while officials verified her medical condition and prescription legitimacy. The stress of the situation caused her blood sugar to spike dangerously, requiring emergency treatment from the ship's medical team. The International Diabetes Federation recommends carrying medical letters, prescription copies, and emergency contact information for all international travel. But even with proper documentation, diabetic supplies can trigger customs scrutiny and delays. Here's where most passengers make their biggest mistake. Drop a comment below if you've ever had medication confiscated during travel, because this final medication will shock you. Medication #1, prescription birth control pills. Medication #1, prescription birth control pills. Birth control pills, hormone replacement therapy, contraceptive medications that millions of women use daily for family planning and health management. The problem isn't the medications themselves, it's the quantities women carry for extended cruise vacations. Jessica, a 34-year-old marketing executive from Seattle, packed 4 months of birth control pills for a world cruise celebrating her promotion. During the Dubai port inspection, UAE customs officials questioned why she carried such large quantities of hormone medications. Jessica spent 8 hours in detention, while authorities investigated her background and verified her prescription history with American pharmacies. The situation highlights how women's healthcare choices become complicated by international drug laws designed to prevent trafficking. If you made it through all these medication nightmares, type "safe passage" in the comments below. Here's how to protect yourself from these medication disasters. First, research every single port on your itinerary. The State Department website provides country-specific medication restrictions that could save you from arrest. Second, carry original prescription bottles, not pill organizers. Include your doctor's contact information and a medical letter explaining why you need each medication. Third, pack only what you absolutely need, plus a few extra days for emergencies. Fourth, consider travel insurance that covers medication replacement. Ship medical centers charge outrageous prices for common prescriptions you might lose or surrender to customs. Fifth, consult your doctor about alternative medications that might be more acceptable in your destination countries. The key is planning ahead rather than assuming your legal medications will be accepted everywhere. If this video prevented a potential medication disaster for your next cruise, please hit that like button and subscribe for more travel safety information that could save your vacation and your freedom. Safe travels, and remember, your health and freedom are worth more than any vacation.